You've read the thumbnail, you've seen the title, you've probably seen one of these videos before. Fair warning, I'm going to swear quite a bit. Mainly, I'm going to say the word twat. Twats everywhere. That's what one of those memes would say, isn't it? Where there's Simba and then there's Simba's dad lion dad, and then they're looking out over the plains of Africa, and then the meme is like, twats, look son, twats everywhere. That's the sort of thing people like, isn't it? I mean, personally, I'm not really a fan of misanthropic memes, mainly because I feel like we should sort of like ourselves before we... I don't even know where I'm going with this. Shall we get into pronunciation first? Twat. That's how you say twat. You say twat. But there is another pronunciation out there, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, and it goes a little bit like this.
You abominable twat.
Now, Wikipedia claims that twat is an earlier pronunciation of twat. Now, quite where Wikipedia got that from, no one really knows, because it's not cited, and I can't find evidence at all to demonstrate that that's true. So, in this case, Wikipedia is talking bollocks. What I can say is that the word twat actually has been around pretty much for as long as the word twat, and comes from a variety of, well, traditions and different ways of usage, and not all of them from the United States. As early as 1680, twat was featured in an English poetry collection called Affairs of State, which sounds like a real laugh-a-minute roller coaster of a collection. Although, oddly enough, it does seem to be actually sort of entertaining. I mean, here's a few lines. "'Twas not Estcourt the sot that knew all of the plot, and could only discovers his mother'd..." No, I've ruined that already. "And could only discover his mother's lewd twat." So twat, it seems, is legitimate. I mean, say it how you like, I guess, but I guess I should say that if you are not English, or even if you're English and you say the word twat in a British setting, anywhere in kind of a British setting, you're likely to be laughed at. Personally, I prefer the word twat, or the pronunciation twat. I mean, it just sounds more twat, you know? Incidentally, I was playing Super Mario Brothers the other day, and or Super Mario World, I should say more correctly, and I got the flower, the fire flower, and then Super Mario was able to fire fireballs out of his hands, and at that point I realised that the sound effect for that sounds quite a lot like the word twat. Twat isn't as versatile as its bigger, hairier brothers and sisters, or brother and sister shit and fuck. I'm not going to ascribe a gender to either of those. That would be ridiculous. It's not as versatile as those two words, but it does have more than one meaning. First of all, a twat is a woman's genitalia, and here we are again, where a woman's genitalia is used as a synonym for something awful, and several orders of magnitude more awful than any of the other swear words out there that involve a men's genitalia. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Most of us come from one. Most of us were conceived through one, and personally I quite like to visit one as much as possible. And so what is our problem? Either way, of course, that brings us to the insult twat. For my money, a twat is someone who engages in twatty behaviour and sometimes dresses like a bit of a twat, and I know that doesn't really clear things up, so how about the Profanosaurus Rex? So as we can see, it simply defines a twat as a stupid person, but also some of the other things that we're going to talk about, but pretty simply, a stupid person. I guess you could say that a twat is a bit more, well, it's like an overconfident, loud dick with some malicious intent thrown in. Incidentally, when I was 17, my dad once called me a twat, and that was because I'd left the house and then left the grill full on, so suffice to say, I deserved it. I mean, I nearly burnt the house down. What would you say a twat is? Lastly, to twat a person or a thing is to strike that person or thing, probably with quite a lot of aggressive force. To twat someone or something, to twat that thing, to twat that person. I'm going to twat you. It's very convincing coming out of my mouth, isn't it? Very convincing indeed. Fun variations are twat head, so a variation of dickhead. twat mag, which is either a vehicle, which is either a magazine full of twats, so I guess OK and all of those types of gossip magazines, or a magazine full of twats, so like Playboy or Razzle or whatever some of those other ones are that don't exist anymore because porn is free on the internet. And I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you have to be quite a determined porn enthusiast to get a magazine these days, I think. Or there's a twatoo, which is a particularly unfortunate tattoo, or a particular personal favourite, which is a twatalogue, which is a pornographic pamphlet, as before, as is a twat mag. Now, this is the part where most people, or most definitions, talk about Robert Browning getting the definition of the word twat wrong. So a few hundred years ago, Robert Browning wrote a poem which we're still laughing about today because he talked about the nuns' clothing in a very kind of respectful and nice way or whatever, and he said that one of them was wearing a twat. So unfortunately, it wasn't until later on, after the poem had been published, that he was informed of the actual definition of the word twat. I mean, we're still laughing about it hundreds of years later, so well done you. Okay, so nobody really knows, but there are a couple of main theories, one of which is sort of more in favour than the other. The first one, or the lesser one, is quoted by Grammarphobia. Now, interestingly, the only source I could find for this was Grammarphobia, but they do actually quote a source, so probably that's legit, I guess. But it's quoted from Robert Pattage's A Dictionary of Slang, which is a book that I now want. And what it says is basically that it comes from an old Saxon word or an old English word, thwattle. I can't say that word. I cannot say that word. It's spelt out on the screen right now. Either way, I really have no idea how to say it. But the word means passage or lane, which, sort of works, doesn't it? The other more accepted theory is that it comes from a root word somewhere back in the past, thwitten, which became thwaite, which is the Nordic cognate. And that basically means a cut or a clearing. Now, you'll find that a lot of towns in the north of England and going up into Scotland have thwaite somewhere in their name. Obviously, it's just a cut or a clearing. And amusingly, it also translates into people's surnames. So you might find people called Thwaite or Braithwaite, so they might be from those places. But then you can inform that they are, in actual fact, twats. I mean, I probably wouldn't break it to them like that. Maybe just give them a hug and not tell them. Maybe just give them a hug. Maybe just say hello, see if they need anything. Maybe give them some friendship and then not say any of that. Amusingly, there are actually 2 towns in the British Isles called Twat, spelled with 2 T's, and one of them is in the Orkney mainland and one of them is in the Hebridean mainland. So the Hebrides and the Orkneys, those are 2 island chains just off the northeast coast of Scotland. Twit springs to mind as a good variation. In fact, in linguistics, twit and twat would be what's referred to as a minimal pair. So you would have, because they're only separated by one vowel sound, that's a minimal pair. Now, that's probably why it seems like such an easy variation to think of, but it turns out that twit has its own etymology, which goes in a completely different direction. So it's not a variation. Do you know any variations? I don't know any variations. I wasn't able to find any variations. Obviously twat, but we've already talked about that and we know what that is. So there you go, twats. I probably might do another video some other point maybe about some swear words, but I'm probably going to dial it down. I might do dog breeds next time around. That'll be a fun time, won't it? Anyway, take care of yourselves. I hope you're well. And just look after yourself a little bit, yeah? See ya.